There's no doubt that fake news has been the biggest buzzword for the past 2 years. But here's the thing. There's nothing new about fake news. Although the election of Donald Trump brought fake news into the spotlight, he didn't create the concept after all. But at the same time, you're now being paranoid in thinking that you are seeing more fake news than before. And to understand why, we need to take a look at the president's favorite place, social media. Traditional media organizations and journalists go through an institutionalized vetting process before the publishing of each story to make sure the information they present is accurate and unbiased. However, fact-checking or double sourcing isn't the standard that most social media users live up to today. Because social media is a platform where we can be heard by millions of people with whatever we say, so why bother with the tedious task of pursuing the truth? At the same time, people are also more financially motivated to create shocking news instead of real news, because eyeballs and clicks are the only ways to get advertisers to support you and thus make revenue with the content you create. But social media didn't just facilitate the creation of fake news, but its dissemination as well. Since it's often hard for us to tell at first glance whether something we're reading on social media comes from a credible source or not, we tend to rely on our connections to do the work. If 10 of our friends share the same thing, however crazy it is, it must be true.
Repetition is part of the game, and the more a bad story is repeated, the more real it becomes to everyone.
The thing with fake news is, it's not an individual problem anymore. As it casts its influence over the entire society, fake news could even pose damage to our democracy. The reason for that is simple. Democracy is based on elections, and in an ideal situation, all voters are well informed and will cast their votes responsibly based on what they know. But they won't be able to do that if all they learn is fake news. As of 2016, there are 157 million registered voters. At the same time, 81% of Americans say they rely on social media, the biggest market of fake news, as their major news source. That leaves us 127 million, or more than 1/3 of the US population, who might be determining the future of this country based on fake news. With this much at stake, of course we can wait around for the government and the social media companies to do something. But we all know that it's going to take a huge amount of time for any change to be approved and actually take place. And even if it did, it will only be reacting to problems that we've already seen a long time ago, not the future ones to come.
We are still playing catch-up from a long way behind. We are looking in the rear-view mirror. We're still not looking through the windshield to find out what's happening right now and what's going to be happening next.
So, in the meanwhile, it's on us to take action and make sure we don't get fooled around by fake news. And it's actually not that hard to do. The first step is to start reading newspapers. Because while it's easier to get news from television or social media, what you see there is usually a mixture of facts and persuasive comments, whereas the news section on a paper brings you just the facts. And the more objective facts you learn, the easier it will be for you to spot fake news in another story or someone's argument. The next step is to think through before you share anything online. Social media companies like to show us things that they know we would agree with or feel strongly about, so we can share the content to our friends and remain on their platform. But remember to always take a second and use your judgment before hitting the share button, simply because what you're about to share might not be true. Lastly, and most importantly, call out fake news when you see it. This is not one of the occasions where you want to say, "Why so serious?" Because by calling out fake news, you're doing public service by educating others around you and make them more well-informed voters too. If everyone starts doing the same, we might actually see a brighter future for this once great nation.